Look, Washington spends way too much of our money. We are now $31 trillion in debt. And over the weekend, there was a deal announced to raise the debt ceiling. Kevin McCarthy announcing it Saturday night that he had reached a deal with President Biden. Many progressives think that the White House gave way too much away and said that they're going to be voting against it. But I want to address concerns on the right because many conservatives don't like this deal. I get it. It's an ugly debate. It's not a debate we should be having. We should be controlling spending. We are mortgaging our future away. I want Washington to spend less. I want government to get under control. I think it's irresponsible. That being said, let's just remember what we control. The House is controlled barely by 4 votes by Republicans. The Senate is controlled by Democrats, and the White House is controlled by Democrats. Republicans went into this negotiation with a pretty hard line, but so did the White House. Let's remember that. The White House position was very clear. We will not negotiate over the debt ceiling. We want a clean debt ceiling bill. That was it. No conditions. Raise the debt ceiling. Let us spend more. Republicans barely passed an agreement that said, no, we'll raise the debt ceiling, but we want a lot in return. Let me walk you through what they did get in return. Now, first, this bill will suspend the debt ceiling until January of 2025. That will ensure that we get past the next presidential election and we won't find ourselves here again for 2 years. The Congressional Budget Office actually went in and looked at this deal, and their report says that it will cut spending by $2 trillion. And let's face it, $2 trillion is nothing to laugh at. That's a real amount of money. The deal further caps non-defense spending until 2025. It looks at the level of spending for non-defense at the 2022 levels and carries that forward for 3 years, meaning that in real Washington ways, you're going to see a cut in these other programs. It did exempt veterans health care and some other defense programs, which is fine with me because we should be taking care of those who have served our nation and we should make sure that we can further protect it. The deal that McCarthy got with Biden further expands work requirements for people receiving food stamps. It does exempt veterans, but the bottom line is this. The Republicans insist that if you are an able-bodied American, especially a younger one, that there is some requirement of work if we're going to give you benefits. That's something that hasn't happened for a long time, since at least the 90s, and should be applauded. It further claws back $28 billion of unspent COVID funds. Washington allocated so much money they didn't even know how much they needed. Republicans went back in and said, you can't just keep the money. That's another good thing. Further, the deal cuts the IRS funding that Joe Biden set out to hire 80,000 new IRS agents. Gosh, what could 80,000 IRS agents do that would be good? Nothing. So it cuts that by $21.4 billion. Again, nothing to sneeze at here. Further, the deal restarts the student loan payments. Biden, remember, had stopped allowing students to have to pay those loans. This bill makes sure that that starts happening again. If you've taken out money, you've graduated, the loan payments start again. The last thing that the bill does is it makes sure that we can start back on the path to becoming energy independent. There are programs in West Virginia that have been bottled up because this government hasn't allowed the permitting process to work like it did under the Trump administration. The bill changes that and gets us back to a path of energy independence. Look, I get it. It's not a perfect deal. I'm not in love with this thing. I want Washington to spend less. I want government to be more efficient. But the reality is we only control 1/3 of the government. If we really want a government that serves us better, we need to win more seats in the House. We need to take back the majority in the Senate, and we need to win back the White House because we deserve a better, more efficient, more accountable government. Well, if you enjoyed this video, click the like button, subscribe, and ring the bell to make sure that you never miss another video.